Weightless Gaming here. I've already decided the title of this video. Normally, I don't start with the title, but today I started with the title because yesterday I made a video kind of explaining where I'm at in EVE Online. And one question that arose is, how did you make that much ISK? How did you get to where you are? So today the video title is going to be how to make ISK in EVE Online. It is the most clickbaity thing I've ever made, and am in the process of making, but it's not actually clickbait. It is the number one lesson. The subject of this video is going to be literally the number one lesson that I have for people who want to make more ISK and EVE Online and want to, grow their net worth in the game. It's not the simplest thing, but it is the simplest thing. The key is to find something that meets two criteria. And the two criteria are that you enjoy doing it and that it makes you profit. So it could be, for me, it was mission running. I learned how to do missions really well. And I found that even though it wasn't like the number one thing for ISK per hour, I was able to grind out a lot of ISK in a short amount of time because I actually enjoyed doing it. I'd log in and I'd run my missions and I'd stream my missions, and I enjoyed doing that. So I just, kept on doing the mission thing. And I continued on and got better at it and better at it and better at it. And I got, because I enjoyed it, I made more and more, and I started multi-boxing it, and I enjoyed that just as much. So I just kind of scaled up, and then I was making, 400 or 500 million ISK an hour quite easily. And then you do that consistently enough, or you make any amount of ISK consistently enough, you will end up with an insane amount of ISK in a short amount of time, or in a time that is less than you would originally think. This game is not, as far as earning ISK and crabbing and becoming wealthy in the game, it is not instant reward. It will take you time. It will take effort. You're not going to get it for free. But it's the same way in real life too. If you save up, $100 a month or $300 a month, and put that away, in 10 years you'll have a good chunk of money. That's kind of how it works. But yeah, you just make more than you spend, and you end up doing well. But the big ticket is to make a little bit more than what you earn, and make a little bit more than what you spend, and then the way that you earn the money, you don't hate it. And there's also the kind of like, do I enjoy or do I not enjoy it? I guess I'll tell you guys my kind of story and how I got to where I was, because I said the last video was where I was at. This video will kind of be more or less how I got there. So when I first started the game, I was immediately encapsulated by the idea of making more ISK in the game. So the first thing I tried to do is I tried to mine. And back in 2012, high-sec miners didn't make a lot. I was really happy to be making, 20, 30 million ISK an hour. I remember reaching my first billion after I don't even know how many hours played. But I started with mining because that's what my friend was into. And I mined in a silly little procurer. And then I learned what missions are pretty quick too. So I kind of did those in parallel. I did my first mission back in 2012 with a Megathron, and I had 500,000 skill points. So when you guys with your characters that get 1 million free skill points come in and say, well, missions are hard, I can't do them. I'm like, well, no, you're just not determined enough. There are ways to make it happen. It was not efficient. I remember being excited to get the mission bonus if I cleared a mission in time. So I'd log in for a night after work, and I'd do like 1 or 2 missions, if that. I remember the first time I got Angel Extravaganza, it took me like 4 or 5 hours to do because I'd have to warp out 20 times. That's where I started. I was really bad, and I did that for a while, and I used a Megathron, and then I decided, a rattlesnake would be better, and then I went to a Raven, and I flew a Raven for a while, and then I flew Tengu, and then I learned what a Macario was. I was really fortunate to have a friend pass me a character that had T2 Galente battleship skills. So I was able to put on like it had good gunnery skills. And my characters had good missile skills, so I didn't know how good guns were. And then I trained it into a Mac with like projectile torch trained 1. I got a Macario. I'll tell you right now, once you go Mac, you never go back for mission running. They are fast, they're efficient. I learned that very quickly. I remember one day I logged in the morning and I had my Savage Tune following me. I made 500 million ISK doing missions in roughly 8 hours or something like that. I felt really good about that when I did that. And that was just full clearing missions and just kind of chunking away. But that was back in 2012 when I started. And then I remember the day after that, I learned what Incursions were because my buddy was like, hey, if you have a Macario, you should come fly Incursions. So I went and joined the Incursion community. I flew with the Valhalla project for a while. While flying with the Valhalla project, I actually earned my first 10 billion ISK. So the first time that I had multiple billions and not multiple millions was flying with the Valhalla project. I flew with them a lot. Log in and I'd be, happy to earn, over a course of a night or two, a couple billion ISK. But I'd fly for like 5 or 6 hours and we get like this was back before they had, their specific doctrine. So they'd take anything that had enough tank and that met DPS criteria. They took rattlesnakes. They took all kinds of things. It was kind of weird back then. But we came in, I joined them, I made my first 10 billion ISK there. And then I remember I quit because I got bored. I didn't know what to do. And I kind of walked away from the game for a while. And then a buddy got me to come play again. And I went out to null-sec and he got me into carrier ratting. So I did carrier ratting for a long time. That was in a corporation called Her. I was a lemming. And I remember being so excited to have my carrier and ratting in it. I didn't have triage because triage was a thing back then. Carriers used to also be faxes. So I flew my carrier ratting. It got caught once. It survived, but my buddy died saving me. That's a story for another day. And then I think after that incident, we got into a war. It was just before the famous BTAC R, and I remember flying a whole day to fire 2 shots in my Megatron. I was like, this isn't for me, and I got sucked into D3. So I left the game again for a while. And I played D3 and World of Tanks and got into those games like 2013, 2014 area. And I built my first computer in 2015, like my first actual like gaming computer that I had. I had an AMD 8350 and the AMD 290, not a 290X, but a 290, because I spent about 80% of my budget on the graphics card. And with the intention of streaming, I bought the 8350. I figured it'd be a better chip because I wanted to be a streamer at the time. I didn't know what I wanted to stream, but I wanted to be a streamer at the time. I got the 8350 because, it's an 8-core monster of a thing for, $110. It was a really good deal on the CPU. I was really happy with it back in 2015. I built that computer. I reinstalled Eve, and I got a buddy left, and he was like, "You built that computer to play Eve? What is wrong with you?" And that kind of set me away from the game, and I kind of got going in tanks. Played a lot of World of Tanks back then. So I really didn't accomplish anything in Eve then. I remember I plexed accounts and trained skills for a while, and what I ended up with was a Incursion Vindicator and a Golem with about 500 million ISK to my name and those 2 ships. So that's what I had. And then one day, I had a buddy, or I blew up my motorcycle, and I had the engine come in a crate, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I did a motor swap, and I put out a thing on Facebook. Hey, I need help doing a motor swap. This buddy showed up. I didn't know him very much at the time. He's become one of my best friends, and I hope he sees this video and gets to hear that. But he has become a really good friend of mine since then. And but my phone alert was the EVE Online whole alarm. And so when I got a text, it go, and it screamed the whole alarm. He's like, that sounds familiar. I know exactly what the sound is. I'm like, oh, you do? It's like, yeah, it's the EVE Online whole alarm. I'm like, you play EVE? And I was like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm a bit of a computer nerd. I play a lot of games, and I got a pretty decent computer in my room there. He's like, yeah, I am too. And he spouted out the stats or what his system was. I'm like, holy shit, I didn't even know. Like, I met him riding motorcycles, and it turns out that him and I both, played video games. And he told me about the Alpha program, how there was Alpha and Omega, and at the time it was you were allowed to fly Tier 1 cruisers of your specific race. So if you spawned a Galente character, you're only able to fly Galente ships. If you spawned a Caldari character, you're only able to fly Caldari characters, and you were only able to train like 5 million skill points. And at this time, skill injectors, they came in the game, and I had no idea what they were. So, I came back. I logged in. I'm like, I can fly a cruiser. Oh, I want to fly my golem. I'm going to resub. So I resubbed 3 accounts overnight. Welcome to EVE. So I came back, and again, to my name, after, losing a bunch of stuff, buying and selling things and plexing my accounts for so long previously. I had a golem. I had a Vindicator and about 500 million Isk. And at this time, I was streaming because I was laid off from work. So I came back on the game because, I had time. I got laid off work, and so I was streaming 9 hours a day. And I just had time because I was collecting unemployment, and I was off work waiting for the next job to come up. So I started streaming EVE. Started making, I started streaming EVE. So my very first EVE Online stream. Oh my, the hubris in it. Just the sheer hubris. The stream title was Veteran Player Runs Missions to Plex Account. I can't even. I was flying a golem. Or no, I think I sold the golem and bought a Chronos. And I was sitting there chunking through missions in a Chronos or something. Couldn't even do burners. Like didn't really even know what they were. And I was dead set on plexing my 2 accounts with 1 character running missions. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this. And then a few people came in. I was running missions. I ground my standings up. No, I bought a Macariel. That's right. I sold the golem or the Vindicator and bought a Macariel. So I'm like, Macariel, best ship. So I sold the Vindy, bought a Macariel, went out and got my Fed Navy standings on the first stream. And then after that, I started, grinding missions, and then I got better standings in. And then somebody came in and told me, they gave me a link to this sheet or this Google Doc that was a explanation of how to make 200 million Isk an hour running missions. And it kind of explained all these concepts of like blitzing and going fast using ascendancies and certain fits. And it was written in collaboration with a few people and kind of a trade secret. So once I kind of got it down and started streaming it, a lot of people tried to kind of stop me from streaming it, and that didn't go well for them. They got me banned from Twitch for 2 weeks, and a bunch of other things happened. But they basically reported me for spreading malicious content, and so I took a 2-week Twitch ban. Well, somebody looked into it, and it took 2 weeks to do so. So I was out for 2 weeks, and during that time, I made a couple billion Isk. I think I made 5 or 6 billion just running missions on my characters. Anyways, I came back in full force, started grinding, made a second character, and all that. And I learned how to do burners in that time. I learned how to do them efficiently. I learned how to update fits with patch changes and improve upon things that I was taught in that window as well. So as I, grew, so did my knowledge of the game, and I expanded and became very niche into mission running. Like all I did was mission run. I'm the mission runner. That's what I do. I run missions. It's what I enjoy. So I just continued running it. I actually did a grind to 100 billion Isk via mission running, not once, but twice. We did it with 2 characters, and then I did it again after emptying my wallet doing stupid shit, like buying. I spent about 60 billion Isk buying an entire ship collection in Lingisi around this time, and I bought all the Marauders, I bought all the battleships, I bought all the tier 2 cruisers, I bought every kind of variation of module that I would need. And the 100 billion Isk, I think I blew like 40 of it PvPing, and I blew 60 of it on the ship collection. And I back at 0, ground up another like 30, 40 billion Isk, spent it all on skill injectors, and then ended up with a 3rd character after that. So I had 3 characters, or 3 fully mission running characters, 5th character that didn't really do much, and then a mission running character. So I had 3 mission running characters, did another grind, and this is when I kind of moved back in here. And then once I hit 100 billion Isk again, I think I got to like 110 after all was said and done. So I earned 100 billion Isk and didn't sell any of the faction loot that I got. So I ended up with a bit more than 100. And then Abyss had come out prior to this, 2nd grind to 100 billion Isk. So after I got to that 100 billion, I'm like, well, I want to kind of expand and learn how to do different things. So I was like, okay, well, what else can I do? And I got into Abyss, learned how to do Abyss, and overall broke even on Abyss. I probably spent as much as I earned doing Abyss. However, I had fun doing it, and learning a lot of things about fitting and how to optimize for capacitor and tank versus DPS, and kind of learning how different E-War works and interacts with ships, and just kind of like all the concepts that you have to learn with Abyss. It's absolutely fantastic. I'd recommend you try Abyss at the very least. I think it's one of the best things for newer or veteran players coming back into the game to do to earn Isk. It's super, super awesome. Abyss can be fantastic. However, losing ships and the learning curve is quite steep. So you do lose what you earn sometimes, and it can be a whole thing in itself. From surviving suicide ganks and actually getting killed in the Abyss itself. There's a big kind of disparity. And I got really good at Abyss and missions. And then, the Triglavian content came out. I kind of ignored the entire first quarter of the Triglavian invasion. And then towards the end of the first one, I devised my my Golem and 2 Vargers to go fly against the Trig and minor conduits. So I started multi-boxing on a larger scale rather than just 3 accounts actually in combat with 4. And I just kind of scaled up a little bit. So here I am, earning about the same amount as mission running, but just, doing something different. And then I just kind of, ran things that I thought would be fun. So on days when I kind of wanted to do missions, I'd do missions. And then when the invasion was on moving days, I'd do missions or Abyss, and then I'd go travel out to the invasion and like, am I doing missions today or am I doing Abyss? And I just kind of did what I enjoyed, and I ended up, being able to sub 8 or 6 accounts at the time. I was subbing 6 accounts at the time, and just building wealth and skill points because I was, training characters and keeping my accounts subbed. And so I was about breaking even. I had a tri-monthly bill of about 25 billion Isk every 3 months that I had to acquire. And I kept up with that, playing less than 2 hours a day. And then finally, I decided I want to see how much Isk I'd make in 3 months. So I plexed all my accounts for 3 months, and I started on a journey, and I ended up, making 100 billion Isk. I tracked it via JEV Assets, which is a program that I reinstalled yesterday and kind of set up my characters, and kind of went from there. And then I realized my earning potential was quite high, so I just kind of continued, farming and having fun. If you keep on investing into your skill points, eventually you can do broad and different things, and you just kind of end up by investing in my skill points. At this point, I don't buy skill injectors. I've probably bought about 60 or 70 total in my life, kind of help characters get started. But maybe I bought like 120. I'm not sure. I bought quite a few skill injectors. But I just kind of continued expanding the stages of the invasion change. I added a 5th account to combat them. So I started Nestor, Vindicator, Lashak, or dual Nestor, Vindicator, Lashak, Eos as a kind of composition. I found that made about the same as mission running, so I preferred to play on 3 accounts mission running than 5 accounts trying to fight the Triglavians. And then I just kind of, went back and forth between, the 3 kind of content, anti-trig, abyss, and mission running, and that's really what I enjoy doing in high sec. So I just kind of kept on doing those things, and here we are a year later, and I've got a bit of Isk, and I keep having to play like Plex bills, and I keep trying new things. So I try new setups, and I lose stuff all the time. I buy marauders and keep on trying things. So my wallet has stayed relatively flat. So I kind of spend what I earn on messing around with things. So I end up with a lot of assets. Because one thing that if you're still here in this video, this is a huge tip. Key in here if you've been kind of watching playing your game while listening to this. But the big tip that I have for you is don't sell things when you go from one activity to another. So say you enjoy mission running and you get bored of it, you decide to go try Abyss. Don't sell your mission running assets to go run Abyss. And vice versa, don't sell your Abyss assets to go run missions, because there will come a day when you'll get bored of the Abyss and it'll be like, oh, well, I want to run missions again. The inefficiency of buying and selling things and going back and forth between things, it is better to buy the new asset to do the new thing and sit on the old assets, so that way you can always go back to whatever activity you previously enjoyed. I also, somewhere in there, I did level 5 missions. I didn't do them for a long time. Somewhere between Abyss and mission running. I think part of what my first 100 billion Isk was invested into. I learned how to do level 5s. I bought like 6 carriers and got a couple of polars set up and learned how to do level 5s. And I didn't really enjoy it very much, and that's why I'm not really talking about it much in this video. But it is another means to make Isk if you enjoy, the kind of PVX and excitement of doing things under the radar. That's a very fun way of doing things when you're risking your carrier asset, and then you just make so much Isk you don't care when it actually loses. So it becomes a game of cat and mouse, and you are the mouse, and there are cats hunting you, and you're making a lot of money being a mouse. So that's a fun activity. Anyways, yeah, and then we just kind of get to this point where I make a bunch of Isk because I do things that I enjoy, and I've gotten to a point where I can make a lot in a short amount of time, and I'm kind of building up the communities and doing that. I know this turned into like a 20-minute talking head video, but I feel like after yesterday's video was really successful with this kind of format and kind of storytelling in EVE Online, I figured you guys would enjoy another one a lot like it. And I have some cool content for you guys on the next video. I have a couple of suicide gank attempts that I would like to analyze and kind of show you what went wrong and what went right for them. And maybe we can kind of show you guys, I'll teach you guys a little bit about suicide ganking and how it works. But until the next one, fly fun, enjoy your time in EVE Online, and I will see you guys in the next one. Oh yeah, keep bringing people up too. Don't forget about that.